Good morning, everyone. It is Kendall Askins with Stimulated Minds. Askins Stimulates over on Instagram. Joining you another Wednesday morning, reminding you that if you like these videos, please like and subscribe our pages. Askins Stimulates over on YouTube and on Instagram. So please like, share, subscribe to our pages so that you can continue to get updates on content. This morning, I am going to discuss a topic that I think is a pretty heavy one for a lot of people, something that I have personal experience with. I think we all do as we've been walking this earth. So I'm going to jump right into it. I want to talk about forgiveness today. So this is a topic that probably requires several weeks of conversation, but I'm going to give you some big things around forgiveness. So often we hear, whether it's in a church setting or through life, that when we forgive, like forgive and forget, right? And I think that there's been a struggle around, like, what does that mean, right? Like when somebody does something to us that really hurts us to our core, or even something that just is very upsetting, we often struggle with how will we forgive. And I've heard people say, like, I'll forgive, but I'll never forget, right? Or I'm never going to let that happen to me again. It's as if, this hurt or pain or trauma, whatever it is, it changes something inside of us, and it changes how we interact or respond to the person, right? And so while I question, forgive and forget, as I'm sure many do, what I like to think of it as is forgive and let go, right? So instead of forgive and forget, which I think is just like, because of the F's and the cute catchphrase, that's what people say, I think it's easier to wrap around forgive and let go. And so when I'm thinking about forgiveness, I understand that that's an internal process, right? That has nothing to do with the person who hurt me as much as it has to do with how I'm processing what that hurt looked like and how I am allowing that hurt to affect me and how I show up in the world. So when I process that, however long that might take me, we understand that the quicker we process and let it go, the better. I often think about, like, what does letting go look like, right? Well, how do I know when I have actually let go of something? So I think about two things specifically when I'm thinking about letting go. And the first thing that I think about is, if I'm experiencing something that is a pain and that is a hurt, and I'm questioning whether or not I let it go, I'm thinking about, when I think about that event, what happens to me emotionally? Does my body physically have an emotional response? Or am I able to think about it, give an example on it, and talk about it and be fine? So I have an example of, there was something that I experienced in my life that was very painful, and every single time I would talk about it, even begin to talk about it, I would start crying every single time. And it had been years, like 10 years, 15 years had passed. And every time I would be describing the event to someone, I literally would start crying. And that told me that I had not let it go. And it wasn't until I addressed that in therapy that now I can talk about the event without any tears at all, right? So that has showed me, that emotional response, right, has shown me that I'm in a space now where I have let that go, because now talking about that event doesn't bring up that same type of emotion. And it can be a sadness, right? It could be an anger, right? Like, just paying attention to what emotion comes up in you when you recall the event will be an indicator of whether or not you have let it go. The other thing that is an indicator, and this is so powerful, is when you're with that person or around that, are you able to truly show up as your authentic self? So I remember going through coaching, and I remember saying to my life coach that wait, I said, it's fine. Like, I can be upset with this person. I said, I've forgiven them. I've let it go. I just make sure that when I speak to them, I'm just hi, bye, and that's it. And she questioned me and said, but that's not even you, right? Like, I'm a person that I'm very authentic with people, and I'm excited to see them, and I'm curious about how they're doing, and I'm wanting to pour into them and things like that. And she said, you know, you're not showing up as who you are, and you've created this space where you have, you know, allowed somebody to take you out of who you are, right? Yeah, I wasn't cursing at them, I wasn't yelling, but I'm thinking, oh, well, being cordial is good enough. And it wasn't, right? I had conditioned my mind to think, well, I'm not just cutting them off, I'm not just not talking to them, so me just saying hi or bye is good enough. And I had to realize, like, no, because I had not let go of whatever was upsetting me, in that I could not show up as my authentic self when I interacted with that person. Doesn't mean that person and I are going to hang out. Doesn't mean I'm inviting that person over to my house. Doesn't mean that that person's going to be in my personal space. But when I'm interacting with them, I should be able to show up as my authentic self if I have let go of the situation. So those were things that I really sat in. And I feel that what I want to share with you today is, have you really let go of those situations that have hurt you, right? Are you still having an emotional reaction? And are you able to show up as your authentic self in the space with those people? I also realized that I saw this video that talked about, like, the place we give people in our lives, right? And so understanding that somebody has hurt us, or exploring why we were so hurt, it's usually because those people that have hurt us the most are the people that we feel maybe the closest to, or people that have a high space in our lives, right? And so we can look at how we order them, right? And that's kind of a funny word. It's not like number order, but like how much energy and attention we're giving to somebody, right, in our space, doesn't mean that we don't show up as an authentic self. It means that we understand, this might be what I mean to this person, and I have to adjust accordingly. Forgiving and letting go also allows you to create a space where you allow that person to be different, right? So expressing how you feel and allowing a space where you can still interact with that person authentically, whether or not you choose to hang out with them, it allows them a space to take in what you said and be able to grow or go from there. So good morning, Pastor Ferguson. So I just want to offer to you that I think it is extremely important for us to think about when we're forgiving, right? Again, I have started to think about forgiveness as forgiving and letting go instead of forgiving and forgetting. And letting go, when I know I have let go, I'm not having an emotional response to the event when I'm retelling it, and I'm able to show up as my authentic self in the space. So how have you struggled with forgiveness? Or maybe you haven't. Maybe you figured out a way to let go. I would love to hear your comments in the comment section. Tell us about it. Last week, you guys shared a lot around things that you struggle with fear-wise, and that was amazing. So I think this ties right in. Share this video out if it is something that has been powerful for you, and I'm looking to get talking with you guys. I hope you have an amazing, amazing day, and I will see you back here next week for more fun. Bye.